I used to think people online were exaggerating that story. You know the one. The woman in white, standing near rivers, crying for children that aren't there. I grew up hearing versions of it from older relatives. Somebody's aunt, somebody's grandmother. Every family had a slightly different ending, but they all said the same thing. If you hear her crying, don't follow the sound. I laughed at it. I mean, come on, I'm 28 years old. I worked night shifts, unloading freight at a warehouse outside McAllen, Texas. My life was forklifts, energy drinks, bad coffee, and trying not to fall asleep during the drive home. Ghost stories didn't exactly fit into that schedule. Back then, I was driving an old silver Honda Civic with a passenger door that rattled whenever I went above 60. The AC barely worked. The dashboard had this hairline crack running through it that looked like lightning. Nothing special, just enough to get me home. It was a Tuesday night in late September, or technically, Wednesday morning, 2:13 a.m. I remember the exact time because I checked it 3 times during that drive. My phone battery was sitting at 8%. I remember that too. Funny how your brain decides what's important later. My route home usually took around 30 minutes. And most of it was empty road, running along irrigation canals, and stretches of dark land that looked endless at night. During the day, it wasn't anything unusual. At night, everything felt farther apart. Gas stations, streetlights, houses, people, especially people. I had the radio playing quietly. Some late-night talk show host discussing weird internet stories. Something about people hearing voices through baby monitors. I wasn't really listening. I was exhausted. You know that kind of tired where your body feels heavier than normal? Like somebody secretly replaced your bones with wet sand? That kind. I remember rolling the windows down because the AC had started making that clicking noise again. Warm air drifted into the car. The smell hit me immediately. Wet dirt, river water, something earthy. Like rain had passed through a few hours earlier. I rubbed my eyes, kept driving. Nothing unusual. Then I noticed something strange. The insects, gone. No crickets, no buzzing, nothing. I didn't realize how loud nighttime usually was until it suddenly wasn't. The silence felt wrong, not empty. Dissus, like it had weight. Like something had settled over everything outside. I turned down the radio a little, then all the way down. I don't know why. I think part of me expected to hear something. Instead, there was only the sound of my tires, humming, against asphalt, my engine, my breathing. That was it. I remember laughing nervously. Actually laughing. I even said it out loud. Okay, dude, relax. Because your brain does stupid things when you're tired. It starts connecting dots that don't exist. Starts building shapes in darkness. Starts convincing you shadows are moving. I kept driving. Then I heard it. Very faint. So faint I honestly thought I imagined it. A sound somewhere outside. I frowned, turned my head slightly. There it was again. Crying. A woman crying, far away. I looked through the windshield. Nothing. Just road, dark fields. Power poles stretching into blackness. The crying came again. Long broken, like somebody trying to breathe between sobs. I felt the hairs rise on my arms. Not because I was scared. Not yet. Because it didn't make sense. Who the hell would be out here at 2 a.m? I slowed down a little. Maybe someone had crashed. Maybe somebody needed help. Maybe. That's what I told myself. Then I noticed something else. Something I still think about. Almost every night, the sound wasn't getting closer. It wasn't getting farther away either. I kept driving. 40 miles an hour, then 50, then 60. And somehow, the crying stayed exactly where it was. Like it was sitting beside my car. Running next to me, matching my speed. Without making a sound, except for the crying. And that's when I looked at the clock again. 2:14 a.m. Because somehow, an entire minute had disappeared. I kept staring at the clock for maybe 2 seconds, 3 at most. 2:14 a.m. The numbers sat there glowing pale blue on the dashboard. I remember blinking hard, rubbing my eyes again. Because I was absolutely certain I'd just checked it. 2:13. Maybe I was more tired than I thought. Maybe. I looked back at the road. The crying was still there. Not louder, not softer. Exactly the same, like somebody had recorded it and was playing it through invisible speakers somewhere outside the car. I adjusted the radio knob, then music, then static again. The signal out there always sucked, so I didn't think much of it. I turned it off completely. Immediately I regretted it, because now there was nothing separating me from that sound. Nothing. Just the engine, the tires, and her I swallowed. My mouth suddenly felt dry. Okay, I said it under my breath. Somebody probably needs help, because that's what normal people think, right? You hear someone crying in the middle of nowhere, and your brain starts making excuses before it starts making conclusions. Maybe somebody's car broke down. Maybe somebody got into an accident. Maybe. Then I saw it. Way ahead, near the Canal road, a shape small at first, barely visible under one of the old streetlights. I narrowed my eyes. The road there curved slightly left, running beside the water channel, and standing near the concrete barrier was someone, a woman. I eased off the gas, not completely, just enough. The headlights stretched toward her, slowly revealing details. White. I remember white first. Not bright white, not movie white. More like old fabric left sitting in storage too long. Gray white, dirty white. The dress hung strangely around her body, loose heavy, like wet sheets hanging from a clothesline. Her head was lowered, hair covered most of her face. Long, dark hair, completely still. I glanced at the clock again, still. I frowned. No, that wasn't right. I had been driving. At least a couple of minutes had passed. Hadn't they? I looked back down, 2:14. A strange pressure started building in my chest. Not panic, not yet. Just discomfort. That quiet little voice inside your head. The one that whispers, something isn't lining up. I slowed to maybe 30. I wish I hadn't. I really wish I hadn't, because the closer I got, the more wrong she felt. Not her face. Not her clothes. Her posture. People shift weight. People scratch their arms. People breathe. People move, even a little. She didn't. She stood there like somebody had pressed pause. Completely motionless. The crying continued. Long broken, painful, and suddenly I realized something. My hands tightened around the steering wheel, because her shoulders weren't moving at all. No shaking. No breathing movement. Nothing. But the crying was still coming, still pouring out into the darkness. I felt cold spread across my arms, slowly, like ice water moving under my skin. Nope. I actually laughed a little, not because anything was funny. People do weird things when they're nervous. Nope. I pressed the gas slightly. I wasn't stopping, absolutely not. Maybe somebody else would help. Maybe I was being selfish. I don't know. But every instinct I had started pulling in one direction. Keep driving, keep driving, keep driving. The Honda rolled forward. 20 feet away, 15, 10, the headlights finally reached her face, and I saw nothing, not literally nothing. I mean, I couldn't see her face. Her hair covered all of it, every inch, like a curtain, wet strands hanging straight down. I exhaled slowly, good, fine, normal. She's upset. She's crying. She's looking down. Stop being weird. Stop making it weird. I started passing her. 5 feet away now. 4-3. Then she spoke. Softly, so softly I almost didn't hear it. Sir, my stomach dropped. Because the crying never stopped. Not for 1 second, the voice happened underneath it. Like two sounds playing at the same time. Sir, whispering, have you seen my children? I froze. Completely. Because I looked toward the passenger window, and she wasn't standing beside the canal anymore. She was standing beside my car. For a second, my brain refused to process what I was seeing, because that wasn't possible. No, I mean physically possible. I had been looking straight ahead, straight at the road, straight at her. There wasn't enough time. No footsteps, no movement, no sound, nothing. And yet somehow she was standing inches from my passenger side window. I jerked so hard, the car swerved halfway into the opposite lane. Tires hissed against the asphalt. My heart kicked once. Then again, hard. I looked right. Her face was still hidden. Hair hanging wet and straight. The dress looked different up close. Not white, not really. It had patches of darker color soaked into it. Heavy sections clinging to the fabric like it had been dragged through river water. And there was a smell. God, I remember that smell. Not decay, not anything dramatic like movies. Just wet earth, mud river plants, old water sitting too long in heat, like opening a forgotten cooler left outside after rain. I hit the lock button. Click stupid. The doors had already been locked. I don't know why I did it. Panic doesn't care about logic. It just grabs random actions and throws them at your hands. My breathing got shallow. Fast. Too fast. I looked ahead again. Road, just keep driving. Don't stop, don't, sir. The voice again, soft, polite, too polite. Have you seen my children? The crying underneath never stopped. That's what broke something inside me. Because human beings pause. People inhale. People choke on words. People stop crying long enough to speak, but she didn't. The sobbing continued beneath every syllable, labed together. Wrong, completely wrong. I stared ahead and pressed harder on the gas. 50, 55, 60. My old Honda rattled around me. The passenger window stayed in my peripheral vision. I didn't want to look, didn't want to. But you know how your brain works. When you're terrified, part of you still looks. Part of you always looks, slowly. I turned my eyes right. The window was empty. She was gone. I nearly cried from relief. Actually relief. I laughed. A short, nervous laugh. Jesus Christ. I ran a hand across my face. You're losing it. Sleep deprivation, that's all. Long shifts. Too much caffeine. Not enough sleep. People hallucinate when they're tired. I knew that. I knew. My phone screen lit up beside me. No sound. Just light, low battery, 7%. I glanced down, then froze. Because GPS wasn't showing the road anymore. No map, no route, no signal. Just a blue dot sitting in empty gray space. I frowned. No service? Perfect. Of course, I looked back outside. Something felt different. I couldn't immediately tell what. I kept driving another few seconds. Then I realized the canal was gone. I sat up, looked around. My stomach tightened. Because the road beside me wasn't familiar anymore. Actually, none of it was. No barriers, no utility poles, no houses, no lights, just trees. Trees on both sides. Dark shapes, packed together tightly. Their branches leaned over the road, like they were trying to touch each other. I slowed down. 25 to 20. What the hell? I drove this route almost every day. 3 years. 3 years. There were no woods out here. No woods, I knew there weren't. My breathing became louder. Too loud. I checked the rearview mirror. Nothing, dark road behind me. Then I looked at the clock. 2:14 a.m. Still 2:14. Every hair on my arms stood up. No. That wasn't possible. I had been driving at least 10 minutes. At least. I stared at it. 2:14, 2:14, 2:14. Then something touched the passenger window. Soft, I turned slowly. Nothing there. I swallowed. Maybe a branch. Just a branch. Tap again, higher this time. My eyes moved upward, slowly, very slowly, toward the top edge of the passenger window, and I saw fingers, long pale fingers, curled over the glass from outside, as if someone was hanging onto the roof. Those fingers didn't move, they just stayed there, curled over the edge of the glass. Then pale, too pale. My eyes locked onto them, while my brain desperately tried to find some explanation. Tree branch. Exhaustion. Anything, please, anything, because fingers meant hands. And hands meant someone was outside the car. Outside, holding onto the roof, at 60 miles an hour, my breathing stopped. Not metaphorically, actually stopped. Like my lungs forgot what they were supposed to do. Then the fingers slowly tightened. Kriak. The metal above my passenger door bent inward just a little. I heard it. That tiny sound. That tiny impossible sound. Something was putting weight on the roof. A lot of weight. Oh God. The words slipped out before I even realized I was speaking. I pressed harder on the accelerator. 70, the Honda shook beneath me. The steering wheel vibrated. Trees blurred together outside. But above me, Kriak, Agan, then tap, directly over my head. I flinched so hard I nearly lost control. Tap, a little farther back. Tap, then another. Then another, slow. Measured, like footsteps walking across the roof of my car. No. Then, no. I gripped the wheel so tightly my fingers started hurting. The sound continued. Tap, 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 moving toward the rear windshield. Then silence, complete silence. I swallowed hard. Maybe it fell off. Maybe whatever insane thing this was. Maybe I looked in the rearview mirror. I wish I hadn't. Because at first I didn't see anything, just darkness. Trees, road. Then two pale hands slowly rose into view from behind the back seat. Not inside, outside, pressing against the rear windshield. Fingers spread, water sliding between them. I stared, frozen. My body suddenly felt distant, like I was watching someone else drive. The hands stayed there, completely still. Then something moved between them, hair. Then, long wet strands slowly lifted into view, not climbing, not rising, just appearing like somebody standing up underwater. I couldn't see a face, just darkness behind hair, and then the head tilted, very slowly. Left, right, like someone studying me, watching me, learning me. The crying started again, louder now, closer. Except this time, it wasn't coming from outside. It was inside the car, right behind me. Every muscle in my body locked instantly. My eyes widened. No. I looked at the mirror again. The rear seat was empty. Completely empty. But the crying continued. Right beside my ear, long broken wet. I felt something cold touch the back of my neck. Not pressure. Not fingers. Just cold, pure cold. Like opening a freezer and stepping inside. My vision blurred. My chest tightened. The world narrowed. Road, steering wheel, breathing, the crying. I couldn't think anymore. I couldn't process anything. I just slammed my foot down. The Honda screamed forward. 80, 85. The engine sounded like it was begging me to stop. Trees became smears of black outside. The road twisted ahead. I barely saw the curve, barely. By the time I realized it, too late, the tires hit gravel. The wheel jerked violently. The whole car slid sideways. I remember hearing everything at once. Metal screaming. Glass cracking. Loose objects flying. Then nothing. Gobblesalt nothing. I opened my eyes. Silence claimed silence. No crying. No engine. No movement. My head hurt. Something warm ran down the side of my face. The windshield had fractured into 1,000 tiny lines. Outside the car. Morning light, soft gray morning light, birds. I blinked slowly. Confused. Disoriented. I looked at the dashboard, 7:42 a.m., and sitting in the passenger seat beside me was water. Not spilled water, not condensation, a puddle. Dark river water soaking into the fabric, and resting inside it was a small child's shoe. I stayed in the hospital for 2 days. Mild concussion, minor cuts. Bruising across my chest from the seatbelt. Nothing life-threatening, nothing dramatic. That's what the doctors said. That's what the police report said too. Single vehicle accident, driver fatigue, loss of control. Case closed, Sybil easy, normal. I agreed with all of it, because what else was I supposed to say? There was a crying woman sitting on my roof? Something followed me into the car? No. People already look at you differently after things like that. You can see it in their eyes. That quiet shift, that tiny pause before they answer you. The little smile, the polite one, the one people use when they don't believe you. So I kept my mouth shut, mostly. A police officer came by once while I was sitting in the hospital bed. Middle-aged guy, gray around the temples. Calm voice. He asked a few questions, normal things. Did I fall asleep? Had I been drinking? Did I remember what happened? I told him I swerved. That was true. I told him I got disoriented. Also true. Then he looked down at his notes, looked back at me, and frowned, just slightly. One weird thing though, I looked up. What? He scratched his chin. The car. I remember my stomach tightening immediately. Because he suddenly seemed uncomfortable, like he wasn't sure if he should continue. What about it? He stared at me for another second, then said, "We found handprints." Silence. I just looked at him. Handprints? He nodded slowly, on the roof. My chest felt cold. Not fear, not immediately, just cold. He shifted in his chair. Weird thing is, he said, that they weren't dusty prints. I didn't say anything, couldn't. He looked back at his notebook, then closed it. They were wet. After I got discharged, I went back to pick up what was left of my car. I almost didn't go. Almost, but I had things inside. My backpack, my work badge, some personal stuff. The Honda was sitting behind a chain link fence at a towing yard outside town. Daytime, bright sun, people walking around, normal life, normal sounds. Everything felt stupid suddenly. Embarrassing even. Because standing there in daylight, the whole thing felt impossible. I actually laughed at myself, thought, seriously? You scared yourself into crashing. Sleep deprivation. Stress, that's all. I walked toward the car, the front end was destroyed. Glass everywhere. Metal folded inward. I opened the passenger door. It groaned loudly. Died. Still smelled faintly like river water. I froze, because I suddenly remembered something. The shoe. The child's shoe. I looked around immediately. Passenger seat fall. Back seat. Nothing. Gone. I stood there staring for a while. Then I shook my head. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe rescue. Workers moved it. Maybe. Then I saw something above me, on the roof. Near the passenger side. Long streaks. 4 of them. Metal bent inward. Like fingers had dug into it. I just stood there, looking. Not breathing. Not moving. Because scratched into the paint beneath them were words small, uneven like someone had dragged wet fingers through dust. I leaned closer, very slowly, and read, "Have you seen my children? That happened 8 months ago. I still work days now. I don't drive at night anymore. I don't go near canals. I don't go near rivers. And sometimes very late when the house is quiet, when the air conditioner shuts off, when everything goes still, I hear something far away, very faint crying, always crying. And the worst part, the sound never gets closer. It never gets farther away. It just stays there, matching me waiting. Like it's still standing beside the car. Like it never really left. Sweet dreams, if you can."